the good life.
Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Another big exciting day in my kitchen. I'm fired up for a couple of reasons. Number one, we got Jerry Vale playing in the background. Certainly a great way to add a little Italiano right in the background when you're cooking in the kitchen. So today we're making sun-dried pesto dip. Doesn't that sound fantastic, right? Cooking Italian with Joe. Forget about it style. All right. So if you guys love pesto, we're going to take that volume knob and we're going to crank it up. Let me go over the ingredients. This is fun. It's simple. It's fast. Such a great accent to any meal. So number one, the big kahuna, the center stage, is we're going to add basil. So basil is essentially what pesto is known for or made from. And I'll tell you, when you talk about an aromatic aroma, you know, perfuma, as they say in Italiano, this is, oh, I mean, there is nothing more beautiful in the smell of fresh basil. It's just absolutely delicious. So we're going to take a whole bunch of this. Ideally, you're going to want around 2 cups pack of fresh basil. So if you can go to your Italiano store, they'll sell it in bags, which is great, or, you know, obviously the produce department. So next we're going to add some intense flavor, and that's going to be sun-dried tomatoes. So I've got here about 8 ounces or so of sun-dried tomatoes. Most of the time when you buy them in the grocery store, unless you're making them outside, which is always the best way to do it. But even if you do, you're gonna store them in olive oil. So I drained the olive oil out because I bought these store-bought. They're not going to use a really good quality olive oil, so I want to pull that out. So much like tomato paste, when you take a tomato and you dehydrate it, you're intensifying that flavor. So it just gives you just an absolutely intense flavor of tomato that's going to complement so beautifully with our pesto, with our basil. Next, we're going to add around 1/2 cup of our Parmesan cheese. Now, ideally, guys, if you can splurge for it, you want to get that Parmigiano Reggiano. Okay, so that's going to give you a much better flavor in the Parmesan cheese. Whether you can or can't, you're going to get about 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And when you take that cheese and you grate it, you know, it just releases all those beautiful flavors and aroma. Next, we're going to add some garlic. Woo-hoo, that'll hit you. So you're going to want around 2 to 3. I like 3 cloves of garlic. I like a lot of garlic. I don't like people who don't like a lot of garlic. You know, seriously, I mean, if you're making something and somebody doesn't like garlic, you know, why are you friends with those people? That's where my head goes. All right, next we're going to add some pine nuts. So this is an important ingredient in what would be considered traditional pesto. So we've got here right around 1/4 cup or a little bit more. Pine nuts are just delicious. They're real fatty, they're soft and fatty, and they bring a unique flavor and texture, almost a creaminess when you grind this down. You can't replace it, you can't substitute what pine nuts bring to a traditional pesto. So again, I got 1/4 cup. Now we're gonna add a little kick here. We're gonna add a little red pepper. This would, if gold, it would be hanging from my neck, because my grandmother used to give me the, you know, ward off the evil spirits, right? The Italian horn, right? Which is often represented by a pepper. But in any case, which I still have mine. But in any case, we're going to add about 1/2 of this into our dish, and I'll show you how to prep that. And that's going to give it that backdrop. It's not gonna make it so hot that, you know, your face is sweating, but it's just gonna give that extra flavor, that extra backdrop, that extra heat that takes this dip, this pesto, and just, boy, it just sends it to someplace absolutely phenomenal. Okay, we're gonna take some fresh ground pepper. So important if you can do the fresh ground. I've got some sea salt here. Now this is from Sicily, so I've got Sicilian sea salt, so non-refined. It's gonna be delicious. It's going to bring a nice depth of texture. And then last but not least, our olive oil. And for you guys that are new to our channel, I own a farm in Italy, and it's in Puglia, Italy. It's right above the heel. And we make our own olive oil. We co-op with a whole group of farms to bring you what I consider to be some of the best olive oil you're ever going to have. It's all Italian olives. And our oil is grassy, peppery, earthy. It's truly delicious. It's got a little extra kick to it. And I'll tell you, if you go to the link right below the video here, or you go right on our page, Cooking Italian with Joe, you can click buy it now. We'll drop ship you a bottle right to your front doorstep. And you know, my line is, it's a trip to Italy right in a bottle. Okay guys, to make life simple and fast, I'm gonna use my Bravo food processor. Okay, now listen, mortar and pestle is fantastic, and especially if you're making like a salad dressing or something small in quantity. But when you start to get to a larger volume, this is gonna save you a lot of time. So I'm gonna slide my mortar and pestle off to the side here. And I've got my basil cleaned. I washed everything and cleaned it, dried it. Guys, real important, when we're adding the basil, the stem is gonna add a lot of bitterness to it. So we wanna add as much and only the leaves of the basil. So real simple, I'm just gonna break it off and I'm just gonna add each leaf individually. Okay guys, I got over 2 cups of basil ready to go and I'm gonna start to give this a pulse. Next, guys, I'm going to take a spatula. I'm going to clean those sides really good once or twice to make sure I get everything down as best as I can. The aroma in here is unbelievable. I mean, you open that up and it's just delicious trip to Italy by your nose. Next, I'm going to add my sun-dried tomatoes. And same thing, guys, real important. Use the pulse so we don't overheat it. Next, guys, I'm going to use my garlic press because I want to make sure that garlic gets fully distributed. So I'm going to put those pieces of garlic right in. Oh, look at that. Now what I did is I took the pepper, cut the bottom half in 3 small pieces, and I'm going to use my garlic press. It'll do the same thing as you did with the garlic. And now I'm going to put the pine nuts. And now I'm going to put my cap on and give it about a 30-second pulse 2 or 3 times. Guys, I'm going to give it a really good stir. Look at that, I'll tell you, the aroma in here is unbelievable. Isn't that beautiful? And now I'm going to go ahead and just drizzle my Vito and Joe's olive oil in there. You guys probably already got some, I'm sure. Your olive oil is going to give it that extra body to make sure everything is blended really well. And we are almost there. Now we're gonna put our Sicilian salt in there. And I'm gonna put about a 1/2 teaspoon to about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'm gonna put the same amount with my black pepper. And then last but not least, we're gonna put our Parmesan Reggiano. Put our top on and give it a blend. Now guys, a real quick cooking tip here. While I was letting this set just for a few minutes after I finished, I took some ciabatta bread, coated it in olive oil, salt and pepper, and I toasted it so it's got that nice crisp on it. And then I'm gonna put this in a ramekin to serve. I'll tell you another great tip that makes this come out just fantastic is when you click that red subscribe button right down there. When you guys click that, what it does is any new recipes, any new trips, any new blogging with Borio, that'll come right in your email notification box. And I'll tell you, it means a lot to me when you subscribe to the channel. And hey, it makes you part of the family, you know what I'm saying? All right, guys, let's take a look at this before we put it in that ramekin. Guys, first off, you take the top off, the aroma in here is fantastic. Secondly, you see the beautiful texture of that? So if it comes out a little dry, you can always add a little bit of olive oil. This one came out perfect. Now I'm always gonna put a little dent in the top. I'm gonna fill that with a little Vito and Joe's. Oh yeah, oh. Now I'm gonna set that right on my plate with my toast. I got a nice little knife in there I'm gonna put off to the side. And now my favorite part, we're gonna taste this puppy. Okay guys, you know my favorite part. Get a nice hunk of that, put it right on my toasted bread. Boy, I tell you, I wish I could give it right to you. I love the crunch of the bread. The first thing that hits you is the olive oil, and then boom, you know, the whole aroma of the basil. Absolutely delicious. And now you're getting, right at the back end of that basil, you're getting the tomato, but it's so intense, that concentrated. And what I love is you're chewing it, you're getting the pine nut, the salt, the pepper. Now the garlic's coming in. Olive oil again. And now, and it's just a hint, which is the way I love to get it. It's got just a hint of that heat. Just a touch. I wouldn't even call it hot. Just a little bit of warmth. You know, so between the texture of the bread and the creaminess that the pine nuts bring to it, and then you get the heat. I mean, it's just full of textures and flavor. Every bite on this is more delicious. You know what? What the hell? Let's have some Prosecco. What do you guys say? You want to join me? Best sounds in the world. You know, it's one of those aperitifs that cleans your palate, and then you're going to have that next piece. Oh, delicious. Think about yourself, you know, on the Amalfi Coast of the Mediterranean, you know, overlooking the sea. A little glass of Prosecco, a little aperitif, a little something to nibble on. Oh, guys, thanks so much for joining me today for such a great recipe. And guys, remember, go online, grab yourself a bottle of Vito and Joe's olive oil right on our website, Cooking Italian with Joe, or right on our Facebook. Hit that red button, that subscribe button, hey, make you part of the family. And remember, guys, like I share with you every week, you know, take a few minutes with your family every week. You know, shut off the TV and get rid of the cell phones and get off the computer for a few minutes and surround yourself at the table with your family and tell stories and celebrate your heritage and set some new traditions. I'll tell you, that'll last you a lifetime. I know they did for me. Guys, from my kitchen to yours, until next week, mwah, buon appetito.
It's the good life.